This week's video will take place in Moszna Castle. Now this is listed as one of the romantic castles of Poland, at least according to my castle poster. The castle itself actually I think is relatively recent in history. I think more dating back to the 19th century. It's in kind of south-central Poland in the Opole region, so it's more of like you could say a German residence. Seems to be linked to the Winkler family, and I kept thinking of Happy Days because of course the Fonz is Henry Winkler. I wonder if any relation. We're going to explore. It's a very beautiful castle, especially on the outside, and there's a few things we can see on the inside as well, though as most castles in Poland this has been converted into a hotel, so only certain areas are available for tourists. So please stay tuned. I hope you enjoy. Dzień dobry and welcome to A Brit in Poland. With this channel I travel across the country, I bring you the culture, and I show you just how amazing Poland is. So I invite you on my journey. If you want to see more, I have Facebook and Instagram profiles which you will find links to in the description below. And if you want to really help out, you can turn to my Patreon or Patronite accounts, again in the description. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoy this video. Please like, share and subscribe. Do zobaczenia.
So, Zamek Moszna, or Moszna Castle, is located in the Opole voivodeship. It's maybe not the easiest place to get to. I took a specific tour to get here by car, and I think I've looked at public transport in the past and not had the best of luck, but maybe there's a bus, I don't know. It's located in the village of Moszna, and Moszna actually translates to something a little bit rude in Polish, which I won't report here. I did hear a rumor that this castle was used in a Harry Potter movie, but no. They do have Harry Potter wizard schools, apparently. So we're going to go onto the grounds here. So we parked the car and took a nice little stroll past these lakes, or ponds if you would rather. And there was a restaurant and your usual souvenir stands. But there's quite a lot to say about the legends and the history surrounding this castle, so let's jump into it before we run out of time. So, legend has it that there was actually a Templar stronghold in this area, and they did find some fortifications dating back to the 12th century or something, and there was meant to be like a secret underground passage, though people kind of doubt that now because, well, the terrain's a bit swampy. The main history of the estate goes back to the turn of the 17th and 18th centuries, when the von Schaal family owned the land. This was passed to the von Reiswitz in the 19th century, then to Henrik von Ermensdorf in 1853, and ultimately Hubert von Tiele-Winckler in 1866. Franz Winkler, the father of Hubert, was actually heavily associated with Katowice and the mining industry, and was said to have brought Katowice into the modern age. Hubert also purchased lands in Michłowice and Kujawi, and is responsible for palaces in Michłowice as well. So originally there was a Baroque palace at the site of the castle, though the record I found didn't say when that was built exactly. It wasn't even really mentioned in historical documents. A lot of historical documents have been lost in relation to this, to Moszna. The Tiele-Winckler family would actually own the castle until the end of World War II. However, the originator of the current castle in its form was Franz Hubert, who was the son of Hubert. And he expanded the castle as a display of wealth. His family actually owned about 10% of all mining revenue in Katowice, and he is said to have even loaned Emperor Wilhelm II money. So he obviously was pretty well off. The extensive construction occurred between 1896 to 1913, and this was after a mysterious fire hit the palace, which almost completely destroyed the building. The speed of the construction has a bit of a myth, because Hubert said that he had a pact with the devil, and there were certain devil statues in the castle which were indicating this. I think they were torn down in later years. The family were also said to be associated with Freemasonry, and there was said to be some Masonic rituals done on the site, which is pretty cool. It is thought that the design, the rather unique design of the castle, was inspired by Franz, though there is no record of the architect involved. It was actually designed to look like an ancient castle that was expanded on over time, and I think it definitely achieves that look. Wilhelm II would be hosted at the castle 2 to 3 times, including after he was made king, and he would go hunting with Franz. One expedition claimed 2,839 units of game, which were mostly pheasants, which were transported in by rail. The family took care of the local residents, building schools, post offices, houses, making sure the servants were well looked after. So they were, in high regard in the community, which also gave a bit more credit to the castle itself. Of course, most castles in Poland have a ghost story, and this place is no different. So there was said to be a British governess who was said to fall in love with a certain Count Klaus, who resided at the castle. However, it was unrequited love, so it was not returned. And after she died, she was supposed to be buried on some specific island, but was buried on Easter Island instead, which is in the grounds, not the one with the giant head statues. And it is said that she can still be seen on the estate as a white lady, one of the more common ghosts that you see in Poland. Another little legend is that there was a Chinese ambassador and his group staying at the castle, but they were staying in a room that hadn't been used for a long time, and it was occupied by a bat who turned out to be very friendly, and was actually loved by the Chinese guests. No, they did not eat the bat, as far as I'm aware, and they were quite happy to share the room with him. Franz would die in 1922 during an expedition to Switzerland and Egypt. His son Klaus would inherit the castle. However, Klaus was a bit of a gambler and a sex addict. He even built a wooden pavilion in the grounds, which was a bit out of sight, for advanced sexual practices, and I don't know exactly what that means, and I will leave it to your imagination. He would actually die of venereal disease, rather fittingly, in 1938. He adopted his cousin Gunther as a son, and he would hold on to the castle until 1945, when the Red Army arrived. And they have said to have basically burned the archives of the castle, kind of wrecked the interior, probably looking for riches. However, they didn't destroy the castle, which was a novel thing, because apparently they destroyed a lot of other significant buildings in the area. The castle would then serve as a health spa from 1972 and a neurosis treatment centre from 1997. And these days, it is largely a hotel, as well as a tourist attraction. This statue is to a Greek myth, rather gory one. There are actually 99 towers, or turrets, representing the number of assets of the Winkler family. They didn't want 100 assets, apparently, because if they had 100 assets, they would have had to finance the military, and they didn't particularly want to do that. The castle is said to contain 365 rooms and is covered in decorative elements such as gargoyles and rosettes. And it definitely stands out as one of the most distinctive castles in Poland. On my castle poster, it is listed as both a romantic and a haunted castle, which is, pretty novel. And you can just see it's a beautiful place to visit. I would say the exterior is a bit more interesting than the interior, if I'm comparing it to, say, Szansz Castle. The grounds are very extensive, and apparently there's no real border around the outside. But one thing to note is there is this monument at the kind of the end of the main sort of stone path leading from the back of the castle, and this was to, I think it was to Hubert, but it was destroyed and dismantled by the Russians, and as you can see, it's kind of been rebuilt. I think it used to have a statue on top of it, which has been lost and presumably destroyed. So now it's just a rather nice kind of marble block. If you go further into the woodland, you will find a cemetery for the Tiele-Winckler family, and some of their graves are present to this day. And it's rumoured that the ghost of the body of the governess was also moved here as well. So Moszna Castle, it's a really cool place to visit, a great place, very photographic place, very dramatic and beautiful castle. And it's fun to explore the grounds. The fountain is very beautiful and has a nice synchronized thing to the display. I wouldn't go as far as saying it's my favorite castle in Poland at this point, but I am very glad I visited there. While we were there, we took in the orangery, which was relatively recently restored, I think. And we also went to the dining room, shall we say, and had a lunch there, which was very, very tasty, I have to admit. Very fancy. I don't think it was overly pricey from what I remember, though my parents did foot the bill, I'll be honest. But all in all, this is definitely one of the wonders of Poland, and I really recommend visiting it if you get the chance. And I will just say thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please feel free to check out the many other castles I've visited in Poland, or the many other villages, cities, natural wonders. I'm trying to cover it all, getting there. So please like the video, it really helps out a lot. And if you love Poland, you should definitely subscribe to my channel. Much more to follow. Thank you very much. Do zobaczenia, and have a lovely day. Thank you very much for watching. Take care.